session. Just sort of wraps up the report designer sessions nicely that we've been doing, and it's just a way of testing your knowledge to see what you've learned during the session. It is just for fun as well, this quiz, so we don't mark them, there's no particular pass mark or anything like that, just for you to chance to test your knowledge and maybe identify, is there any areas maybe that you need to maybe have another look at. Remember, the recordings are available if that is the case. Now, as normal, same sort of rules apply for when we're running these quizzes. Don't need a microphone. If you've got one, it will be muted automatically, so you can't unmute yourself. If you've got any questions, if you do have any during the session, pop them in the questions panel. We'll see if we don't normally get many on these sessions, but do pop them in there. I'll try and pick them up at the end of this time. As normal, the webinar is being recorded and a link to it will be included on your follow-up email. So if you do miss any of it, or you need a bit of a recap on what the quiz has included, then just watch out for that. You get that round about an hour after you finish. Our next badge will be in November. Starts second week of November, that one. It's to celebrate International Accounting Day, which I think is the 10th of November. But we're running a series of webinars just to celebrate that one. Looking at some of the options that you've got available to help you maybe streamline your processes and automate your tasks a little bit. So we'll be looking at things like AI document capture, we'll be looking at Sage Connect, we'll be looking at bank feeds, and also one of the new enhancements to Copilot, which is the automated payment reminders. So we'll be touching on those as well. So there's just 4 topics in that one. So again, head along to the webinar registration page if you are interested in signing up for those. Right, now the quiz today, find the right page, is going to be split into 4 rounds. There is a final round as well. We always like to put a final challenge in there just to test you a little bit, just for a bit of fun. And then again, just at the end, we'll explain more about the additional support. And if there are any outstanding questions, I'll try and pick some of those up as well. So the way it's going to work today, as I say, it's an opportunity to test your knowledge. There is multiple rounds in no particular order. They will appear as we use the poll facility via the webinar. Hence, there's always 20 questions. It's the maximum number of questions that we can include. So do get involved, choose your answer, or answers in some case, and then remember to submit. So if you're not sure, have a stab. Answers will be given at the end of each round, and again, results aren't marked, but again, keep your score. I'll be asking a little bit about that at the end. Simon, you've got a point already. Thanks for that one. Right, okay, so we'll get stuck in because there's always loads to get through with these quizzes. Fortunately, they can take a little while just because there's a bit of a lag from me speaking to you actually hearing it, whereas the polls, when they go out there, they are live. So we'll get stuck in. We'll start with round 1, and we'll start with question 1. So I'll just pop that on your screens. So question 1, when you click send to Excel, which records are sent? So is it all records, including those that are hidden? Is it all records that are listed? Or is it only those records that you've highlighted? What I tend to do is I'll wait till a decent percentage of you have voted. I'll not wait for everyone because I'm sure people will get interrupted during the session or get distracted by something else. So rather than wait for everyone to answer each question, we normally wait till we get about in the region of about 80% of you having answered, and then I'll just close the poll and I'll quickly share the results with you as well. So get your answers in quite quickly if you can. So let's get rid of that one. I'll just quickly share the results. So we've got 16% of you going for A, 32% going for B, and just over half of you going for option C. Something that we covered in session 1, that one. So we'll go through the answers, as I mentioned, at the end of each round. Right, on to question 2. So question 2, sorting your customer's list into balance order applies the order to your reports. Is that true or is it false? So if you sorted them into balance order, obviously you can do that ascending or descending. Will that order pull through onto your report? So will it sort your records in the same order? Will it apply to that one? Brilliant. Okay, so we'll close that one. Again, quickly share the results with you very quickly. So you can see we've got a bit of a divide there. So about 4/5 of you going for false and 1/5 of you, or nearly 1/5 going for true. Right, question 3. If you apply a filter to your list of customers, will it affect your colleagues' view? So is that yes or no? So by that, I mean, if you filter your customers and let's say you hide zero balances as an example. So if you hide the zero balances from your customers list, will they be hidden from your colleagues' view when they're looking at the customer list? Or will they still see all records? Is that a yes or a no? Right. Everyone just about straight in with the answer there. So again, quickly share the results with you. So we got 8% of you going for yes, 92% of you going for no. Quite common question, that one, that our support team get regularly that. Question 4, pop that one on your screen as well. How many logos can you add to your invoice layout? Or I mean, it mentions invoice layout in the question. There could be any layout. So how many logos can you add? Is it 1? Is it 2? Or is it option C? As many as you like. So is there a restriction on that one or not? Cool, answers coming through thick and fast there. Great. I'll share the results with you again. So again, you can see we've got a bit of a divide. So 12% of you going for option A, 4% of you going saying it's you can add up to 2 logos, and the majority of you going for option C, as many as you like. And then the final question in the first round. Interesting one, this one. So question 5, your data is held on a server. If you amend your invoice layout, will your colleagues see the changes? So is that a yes or a no? Anyone that was in yesterday's session where we looked at, I think it was filters. It was a question right at the end. I can't remember who asked that now. They were asking about, what about reports? If I make a change to reports, will my colleagues see that? Or will I need to do something specific? But this one specifically, if you amend your invoice layout, will your colleagues see the changes? Right, let's close that one, share the results. So 68% of you going for yes and 32% of you going for no. Right, let's get back to the slides then. We'll quickly run through the answers. So again, keep your score. So again, just to break you in nicely, these first sort of 5 questions. I'll say they're at the easier end of what we're going to ask today. So question 1, when you click send to Excel, which records are sent? It's B. All records are listed. So it's one of the few things where it will ignore any records that you might have highlighted. If you highlight records and then run a report, it will only run that report and base that report on what you've got highlighted on your list. But when you click send to Excel, it will send anything that's listed, whether it's highlighted or not. Some of you will probably be frantically testing that at some point, thinking, oh, he's not right. But when it's specifically, it's the click send to Excel on your toolbar at the top. So question 2, sorting your customer list into balance order applies this order to your reports, true or false? It's false. So generally, whatever you do to your list, whether you've got certain columns listed or the way that you've sorted them or anything like that, it will be overridden by the settings on the report itself. So answer to that one is false. I think the majority got that one right. Question 3, if you apply a filter to your list of customers, will it affect your colleagues' view? The answer to that one is no. Quite an interesting one. This is something that we get asked a lot, or our support team get asked a lot. Why can I see this but my colleague can't, or vice versa? You might have keyed in an invoice, or you might have created a new customer record and one of you can't see it. And it's generally either it's to do with the way you've got your list sorted, or you've got some sort of filter applied. So filters, if you apply a filter, it holds that setting essentially within the data files, and that would follow you around as well. So if you went and logged on your colleague's PC, that would follow you. So again, you would see the filtered list, but your colleague won't unless they apply the same filter, of course. Question 4, how many logos can you add to your invoice layout? As many as you like. So option C, there's no restriction. I think we demo that one with demoing, we add one only, which is generally your company logo. But if you've got any trade logos, you could add those. You sometimes see people going a bit mad with that towards Christmas, adding, you might add a Christmas tree in the corner, a bit of clip art here and there. It's entirely up to you. Might be an image of maybe a new product that you sell. It could be anything, but you can't add as many as you like. No restriction on that one. So again, well done if you got that one. Final question in the round. Your data is held on a server. If you amend your invoice layout, will your colleagues see the changes? Yes is the answer to that one. There is an exception to that one, but generally the answer is yes, they will. So if you edit your invoice layout, you add a logo, for instance, because layouts are central, so layouts are located wherever your data is held. So if they're held on a server, then people, any of your colleagues connecting direct to that data on a server, they would see that. Now, the unusual exception is if anyone's linking in via remote data access, the first time you make a change to a layout, that change will sync to devices that are linking in essentially via remote data access. After that, any changes you make won't sync. But generally speaking, yes, your colleagues would see the changes. So hopefully you're doing okay. And we'll move on to round 2. So round 2, same format, 5 questions. And then again, we'll reveal the answers at the end. So let's start with question 6. So question 6, you've edited an invoice layout. You're happy with it? What's your next step? Would you A, archive a copy of your data, B, take an all files backup, or C, take a layout only backup? So if you attend the sessions, what have I been on my soapbox about this over the last almost like 2 months now? What have I been telling you at the end of sort of, if you edit a layout or a report for that matter, what's your next step? Okay, everyone's straight in with the same answer, just about the same answer there. Just about everyone has gone for take a layouts only backup, and 4% of you have gone for take an all files backup. Okay, answers to be revealed shortly. Question 7. If you edit a default customer report, which folder will it save it to? Does it save it to your favorites folder, your recent reports folder? Does it save it to the same as the original report? Does it save it to the My Customer Reports folder, or is it option E, to the All Reports folder? Few options for you this time. Okay, answers coming through thick and fast again. Remember, when you are choosing, remember to click submit. It'll sort of lock your answer in at that time. Right, share the results with you. So a bit of a mix this time. So 4% of you going for option A, favorites, nobody choosing option B. 25% of you going for C, 54% for the My Customer Reports folder, and then 17% of you going for the All Reports folder. We'll find out shortly. Right, now this is a multi-answer one this time, so you can select all that apply. So how can you change the name of your invoice layout? Double click the layout, rename it. Can you right click the layout, change the name and description? Or can you, option C, edit the layout, then report properties and change it there? Which of those are valid options? Always interesting from my end when I see the answers come through. So some people dive onto an answer straight away, and then others obviously take a more cautious approach and maybe having a little bit think about it, and then a flurry of answers come in at the end. Right, excellent. So we got about just over a third of you going for double click the layout and rename it. 61% of you saying you can right click the layout, change the name and description, and 93% of you saying you can edit the layout, go to report, and then report properties. Find out in a minute. Right, question 9. When editing a report, what's the, helps if I put this on your screen. So when editing a report, what's the easiest way to see if an object is text or a variable? I feel like sometimes I repeat myself many times saying this on a layout, but do you double click it? Do you hover your mouse over it? Or would you right click it? It's the easiest way to say that. Okay, so we've got 4% of you going for the double click option. The majority going for you for the option B, hover your mouse over it, and 4% of you going for option C, right click it. Okay, let's quickly move on to question 10 and then we'll run through some answers. So question 10, which option would you use to add your website address to your invoice layout? So would you add that as a data field or would you add that as text? If you're not sure, have a stab. Again, it's not the sessions. Well, we don't mark the questions, so we'll tell you what we think is the right answer, and then again, just keep track of your own score. Great, answers coming in thick and fast there. So again, we'll close that. Share what everyone's gone for. So we got about a third of you going for option A as a data field, and 67% of you going for option B, add it as text. Right, let's run through some answers. So round 2 answers. So question 6, you've edited an invoice layout, you're happy with it. What's your next step? Always follow this advice, take a layouts only backup at that point. As you'd be well aware, as we've gone through editing things like reports, session 2 where we edited an invoice layout, we spent easily 45 minutes, and before you knew it, that time was over. So you can spend a lot of time making sure that your invoice is just how you want it. So take a layouts only backup. The reason for taking a layouts only backup rather than an all files backup is that if you need to, you can restore that layouts only backup without it affecting your data. So always take that layouts only backup. If you edit reports, make changes, again, take a reports only backup. Not wrong to take an all files backup, but it does mean if you lose your layout, you make a mess of it, and you need to you want to restore back, it means that you've got to restore your data as well. So it would take your data back to that point in time as well. So taking a layouts only backup is the better option of those two. Question 7, if you edit a default customer report, which folder will it save to? It saves to the My Customer Reports. You can change that if you want to, but it will go to the My Customer Reports, and that goes for any other ledger as well. You'll have a My Supplier Reports folder when you go to save it within, if you're editing a supplier report, My Nominal Report, My Bank Reports, etc. Question 8, how can you change the name of your invoice layout? Select all that apply. It's option B and C. There's one exception there. So the bit I've put at the top there, or in the question, it says change the name of your invoice layout. Now you can't double click the layout and just rename it. That doesn't work. You can, however, you can right click the layout and change the name and the description. If it's a standard layout that you haven't amended yet and saved it as a new file, then you can still do that. You can right click the layout, but you'll only be able to change the description. You can't change the name of it. The name field is actually grayed out. But if it is your own layout, you can right click and you can change either the name or the description. In all instances, you'll be able to go into the report designer by editing the layout, then on the report menu, report properties, you've got them both listed and you'll be able to change them there. Let me just try sharing that with you again. I think there's a few problems with the webinar. I think the webinar platform at the moment, so sometimes there's a few delays. Apologies for that. So yeah, B and C were the right answers to that one. I'll try and keep an eye on that one. It hides it when it's not working. So question 9, when editing a report, what's the easiest way to see if an object is text or a variable? Easiest way, and we mentioned this on quite a few of the webinars, literally hover your mouse over it. Remember, if it's text, you'll get that sort of highlight box, normally sort of appears like a yellow gold color if it's text. If it's a variable or an expression as well, you'll get that floating box pop up. So if it's a variable, it'll say variable, and then it'll say the table and then variable name. So easiest option, hover your mouse over it. You can double click it as well. I would say, no, it's not the easiest option, but I would say the easiest option is option B, but double clicking it as well is valid. It will bring up the name of the variable in the expression editor, or if it's a bit of text, all you'll get is you get the box around the bit of text and you get a flashing cursor within it. So if you needed to change the text, you could double click it and then amend the text there and then if required. Last one in this round was question 10. Which option would you use to add your website address to your invoice layout? Now, nobody mentioned it this time. You can actually use either. So your website address, you'll actually find that bit of information is located within your settings company preferences area within your software. Other information in there as well that you might think about adding onto your invoice layout, telephone number, you can pop an email address in there, that type of thing. So you can actually add either. The thing to watch out for with this is things like your website address, for instance, that's not likely to change. So when it's not likely to change, you could add it as either say, right, I want you to pull this through from the company website variable, add that to your layout, or you could just add it as a bit of text. So text is, generally it's used where it's sort of static information. So although it brings your things like your company name and address through by default as a variable, you could delete those variables and just add that as text if you wanted to. So you do have a few options, but just to maybe get you thinking a little bit. But last time I had everyone diving into the questions panel saying, right, actually you can do either. Yeah, you're right, you can. So when it's fixed, you've got both options available. Right, let's move on to round 3. So again, same format, 5 questions, and then we follow up with the answers. So question 11, which table contains the variables for customer record information? Is it A, the company table? Is it B, customer ledger? Or is it C, sales ledger? I'm hoping you're familiar with this one. I know a few of you were getting sick of me editing the customer list report. So it's something hopefully that hopefully you're aware of. So which of the tables, if you want to select something like, adding on the likes of the credit limit from the customer record, which table would contain that variable? So as a company, customer ledger or sales ledger. Right, so 7% if you're going for company, 54% if you're going for customer ledger, and 39% if you're going for sales ledger. Right, question 12. Expressions can contain only numeric data. Is that true or is it false? Few comments coming through thinking there. Obviously, I think they must know report designer quite well, judging by some of the comments I'm getting. Sometimes it's surprising that if you know something really well, obviously it's surprising that probably that others don't. But again, that was the whole idea of these sessions. It's just to try and get you thinking a little bit and introduce you to the report designer a little bit. Again, loads of votes coming through there. So I'll share the results again. And 10% if you're going for true, 90% if you're going for false. Find out soon. Unlucky for some, question 13. Bit more of a detailed one this time. So which expression would show the account reference and name, should say in the following format, rather than if the following format, in the following format. So we got SA 123 space dash space Sage. So if I wanted to replicate that on one of my reports, for instance, what expression would I use for that one? So those expressions, the start and end are the same. It's just that middle bit that you need to decide on. Is it A, B, or C? I'm not going to read them out. So which do you think? Again, if you're not sure, have a stab. The answers are all very similar. So don't worry if you do get it wrong. Okay, great. Right, share that so you can see what people have gone for. So about a quarter of you going for option A, nearly half of you going for option B, and just over a quarter going for option C. As I say, they are very, very similar. Again, it's something that we did cover in the expressions session. Right, okay, let's hide that and we'll move on to question 14. So question 14, a filter can be added to which of the following? Is it A, the whole report? Is it B, a section on the report? Is it C, an object such as text or a data field on the report? Or is it D, all of the above? Again, remember, if you're, let's say you're not as confident, or you'll see how you get on. If you're not that confident, you think actually it would be beneficial to me to have a bit of a recap on some of these, then the recordings are available, and we do include the link to the recordings, to our recordings page on the follow-up email. So if you want that bit of recap, you've got that. Because they're hosted in YouTube as well, it gives you nice, easy access to them. You can jump through them if you want to get to a particular part. Right, so we've got 4% if you're going for option A, 36% going for C, and 60% of you going for all of the above. Right, final question in this round. So question 15, which filter will return only customer accounts that begin with the letter A? Is it sales ledger account ref like A, sales ledger account ref equals A, or is it sales ledger account ref starts with A? So which of those filters will return only customer accounts that begin with the letter A? Brilliant. Okay, so let's close that one. Share the results. So we've got just under a quarter of you going for option B, sales ledger account ref equals A, and then the rest of you, well, the majority, going for option C, sales ledger account ref starts with A. Let's run through some answers. So answer to question 11, which table contains the variables for customer record information? Yeah, I did make up option B. So I did make up the table called customer ledger. It is sales ledger, so it's, I suppose, more traditional accounting language. The report designer and Sage Accounts has been around for a long time now, so still a little bit of traditional language in there. So it is sales ledger. Well done if you got that one. Question 12. Expressions can contain only numeric data. Is that true or is it false? It is false. So the expressions themselves can contain numeric data to perform a calculation, but also text, dates, alphanumeric fields can also be used as well. So think when we've things like an email subject line as an example, you might have something like an expression that says, right, I want to have the company name, and then you might put a plus sign in and you might add some additional text. It's quite common to include things like another variable such as the invoice number, for instance, depending on what it is you're emailing, of course. Right, let's move on to 13. So which expression would show the account ref and name in the following format? The key to that format as well was the spacing either side of the dash in the middle of that, something that was included in the webinar when we covered that sort of thing. So we were trying to compact on the report. So it's option B. If you want spacing, it needs to be included within those quotation marks. Now remember, if it's just spacing either side of the plus sign, for instance, in your expression, it will ignore that. And again, whether you put spacing in or not will make no difference. Spacing obviously makes it a little bit easier to read when you're looking at your expressions. And obviously expressions can be quite complex. But if you want those spaces to be in the formatting, then it does need to be included within the quotation mark. So option B was the correct answer there. Question 14. A filter can be added to which of the following? It is D, all of the above. Now this did get a little mention on the webinar. We didn't demonstrate that because it was just an introduction to filters, but filters can be applied to loads of different areas. So we just looked at filters, applying that to the report itself. But you can apply them to a specific section and also specific objects as well. If you want to find out more about that, so you want to develop your knowledge just that bit further, then again, do check out that information in our help center. So D was the right answer. And then the final question in that round, I think the majority of you got this one. Question 15, which filter will return only customer accounts that begin with the letter A? It is C. So sales ledger account ref starts with A. The other two, where you've got like A, it means it would need to be the same. So it would need to be A only, and also equals A. Again, it would only return, in this case, one account that was A only. But if you want all customer accounts that begin with the letter A, then it needs to say starts with. Remember, potentially you could include and use wildcards in amongst your filters as well. Again, if you want more information about filters and wildcards, it's in the Help Center. Right, final round, round 4. We'll start sharing some more questions with you. So question 16. So question 16 is, you can add criteria to a report header to show which criteria the report has been run for. Is that true or false? Now, the answer to this was included in the criteria session. Wasn't demonstrated, but we did talk a little bit about it. We can add criteria to the report header section, to show which criteria the report has been run for. Is that true or is it false? Brilliant. Okay, so everyone that answered that one and submitted their answer went for true. Question 17. If you don't need to see a section on a report or a layout, you can hide it. Is that true or false? If you've got a section, whatever that section is, you don't want to see it, can you hide it or not? Right, loads of votes coming in. I'll close that, share it with you. So we got 80% of you saying yes, true, you can, and 20% of you saying you can't. Let's move on to question 18. So question 18, on a multi-page report, where would objects in the report header section show? They wouldn't. Is it B, they would show on page 1 only, or is it C, the objects would appear on all pages? So when you generate that report, would you see that information if it's in the report header section? Do you see it on page 1 or do you see it on all pages? Again, I wish you could see the results coming through so you can see how it changes as people start submitting those answers. At one point you think, oh, it's going to be 100% of everyone answering option B or C, and then it totally changes, and then it goes back and forwards. It'd be nice if you could actually see that. Anyway, what we've got there, we've got 50% of you going for option B. It would appear on page 1 only of that multi-page report. And 43% of you going for option C, it would appear on all pages. Right, okay, question 19. So question 19 is, what's the impact of adding a group to a non-grouped report? So if you remember the groups and sections session we did, what's the impact of adding a group to a non-grouped report? Does it A, add a new page header and footer? Does it add a new grouped header and footer? Is it C, a new report header and footer are added? Or is it D, all of the above? Just give you a chance to submit your answers. If you're like me, sometimes when it's a long-worded question, you need a little bit more time to take that in. If you like that as well, if you watch the 1% Club, you'll probably find that the long-worded questions a bit of a nightmare for you. All right, let's close that one. And again, share the results. So 4% if you're going for A, 63% going for B, 4% going for C, and 30% going for D, all of the above. We'll find out in just a minute. And then the final question of today's quiz, other than the surprise question at the end. When a group is added, a data sort is automatically applied. Is that true or is it false? So when a group is added, a data sort is automatically applied. Right, just still got loads of answers coming through, so I'll just give that a moment there. Brilliant. Coming through thick and fast now. Right, let's close that. Quickly share the answers with you. So we got about 2/3 of you going for true and about 1/3 of you going for false. Let's work through some answers. Hopefully you're doing quite well so far. So question 16, you can add criteria to a report header to show which criteria the report has been run for. The answer to that one is true. So if you do add new criteria to a report, so when you're running a report, that little pop-up box you get where it asks you for things like a date range or customer range, nominal range, whether you want to include active or inactive or all records, that criteria doesn't necessarily automatically appear at the top of your report. You would need to add that in. It needs to be done manually. Something to bear in mind. So answer to that one is true. Question 17, if you don't need to see a section on a report or a layout, you can hide it. It's true, you can. You may remember when we looked at groups and sections, when we looked at sort of the structure of the report, when we looked at the properties panel in the top right-hand corner when we were editing a report, it gives you a list of the sort of the sections on that report. Some of them, even on basic reports, some of them will be hidden. So it's up to you. Sometimes you don't need to see that information. So you can easily hide it if you need to. Question 18, on a multi-page report, so when you've output it, it's on multiple pages, where would objects in the report header section show? They would appear on page 1 only. So the key there is it's the report header. It's a header section for the report. For it to appear on all pages, it would need to be in the page header section. Now, sometimes you'll want it to appear on all reports, sometimes you won't. So that's the difference between the two. If it's the report, it's at the start of the report only. If it's in the page header, it'll be at the top of each page. Similar for your totals as well, being in either the report footer or the page footer, depending where you want to see certain things. So at the end of report banner, where it says end of report, that would appear in the report footer section, just as an example. You just see it at the very end. Question 19, what's the impact of adding a group to a non-grouped report? It's B. It will add a new group header and footer section to the report. So when you've chosen your sort of, I suppose your details section, as it were, I think that's what we did in the demo itself. So we had the details section and we added the new section for, I think it was the customer account reference. So added that header and footer either side of where we added that new group in. Again, if you want to hide one of those, you can do that. You do get the choice, but it will add them in automatically for you. So again, well done if you got that one. And then question 20, the final question. When a group is added, a data sort is automatically applied. It's true. So it doesn't appear in the sorts list by default, that one, but it will automatically apply a sort. You can change that if needed, but it will automatically apply one. So for instance, if you added in a group for, let's say for the customer account reference, by default, those customer accounts will then be listed in account reference order. You can change that if required. So you could put them in descending order. Easily enough, you just highlight sort of the section, as it were, and then in the properties panel, again, top right, when you're editing the reports, you'll be able to amend that and change the ordering of the items within that group if required. But it will add that data sort automatically. Right, so top up your score. I'm going to ask you for those in a moment. I've got one final round for you though. Now you get an extra point if you get this. I'll just say an extra point for everyone, but we'll see who gets it the quickest. So I'm going to choose an anagram. Let's see what I've got. So this is something to do with the sessions that we've been running. So this is an anagram of one of those sessions. And the clue is the parts. So if you can work that anagram out, something to do with what we've been talking about in the report designer sessions, submit your answer in the questions panel. See who gets it right. I think people generally struggled with this one last time. It's one of the harder ones I've used. What's that an anagram of? Astounding process, and the clue is the parts. Simon, you're straight in there with the report design. I'm not sure if you attended the original session that I ran, but it's not that. More than welcome to have another go if you want. Una, you've got it. I'll reveal the answer in just a moment. Just give everyone another 10 seconds or so, just see if any other answers come through. So can you work out what that's an anagram of? So the clue is the parts. Right. Only one person today. So it was an anagram of groups and sections. So well done. I think only Una, you were the only one that got that one right. So give yourself an extra point for that one. Now, if you can, give me a rough idea how you got on. If you've kept track of that, did you do well? Did you not? Are there some areas that you didn't have a clue about? Maybe there's some areas that you're going to go back to and review via the recordings, or is it just a case of you think, well, actually, maybe certain areas you didn't attend because actually it wasn't relevant to you. So Sue, you've got 18. Well done. It's quite a high score, that one. So there was 20 questions. Now, Ruth, you got 17. Michelle, you were 17 as well. Karina, not great. Might be surprised. I've had a lot less than 11 on some of the sessions. I've even had people come along, they just thought they'd sign up for the quiz without attending any of the sessions. Didn't get many. But loads of other scores coming in as well. But generally, most, I think everyone that's popped in so far has got at least more than half of those. Again, remember, if you do need a bit of a recap on anything we have covered, then obviously the recordings are available. So your follow-up email will be with you in around about an hour. It's got the link on today's recording. So you're probably better off watching the recordings for the individual sessions rather than running through the quiz again, but you never know, your colleagues might be interested, test their knowledge. It will also include a link so you can register for our upcoming webinars. So do watch out for that one. Do get yourself registered for the International Accounting Day webinar series that we're running at the beginning of, from the second week of November. We'll be running the sessions in week sort of that second week, and then repeating them in week 3 of November. So plenty of opportunities to earn that badge as well. Fewer sessions in that series. And also it will include a link to the recordings that we have available as well. Well over 100 recordings available, so loads to get stuck into if you're fairly new to Sage, or maybe you're just starting to look at a new area. Maybe you've never used an area before, such as if you're on the, I don't know, maybe you're on the professional level and you're going to start using projects, for instance. There are loads and loads of different sessions available. Una, you mentioned you got 17. Obviously, you got that extra point right at the end. Margaret, you mentioned you got 4 incorrect, but busy in the office like normal. Excellent. Well done. And then finally, let me thank you for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it. Do take a minute to complete the survey as you leave. So you will receive that follow-up email. That's around about an hour's time. And just a quick note, badges will be issued via email once we've completed the repeat series. So we've got 1 quiz session left to deliver. That will be on Friday. And then Matt, fingers crossed, will be able to get the badges issued, hopefully, on Friday afternoon. So watch out for that email. If not, probably towards the end of next week. But we're going to try and get them issued quite quickly this time round. So watch out for your email on Friday. Right, no additional questions or anything coming through. Take that opportunity to complete the survey if you don't mind. Take that minute to do it. Put your comments, thoughts, ideas, share it all with us and let us know what you think. Anything you'd like to see covered going forward, pop that on as well. And do get yourself registered for some of those sessions that we've got planned in. Other than that, many thanks, and hopefully I'll see you on some webinars very, very soon. Many thanks.